you.
I'm awesome. Awesome. Thank you for having me.
No, it is a pleasure. Listen, guys, today's topic is the cost of being coachable. And I know that we don't think about, all the aspects that go into being coachable and being able to be at, certain levels and be able to improve your game. But being coachable is one of the biggest things. Coach, can you just tell us a little bit about your journey as from athlete to play, from athlete to coach? I know that sometimes the kids forget that we were once athletes, but can you just give us a little bit about your journey?
Oh, trust me. I tease people all the time. I can still give them about 6 points. So half court though, but I'm good. But really started late actually in my career, my journey. I started in high school, well, actually middle school, 8th grade, and then just played all the way up until, high school. Was very fortunate to get a Power Four now. That's the school that I'm at, went to the University of South Carolina, Power Four scholarship, played there. I ended my career at a D2 school in my hometown after having my son. Went on to continue playing professionally. And after my professional career, a couple of years over and playing overseas, then came back home and started coaching, fell in love with it. Thought I was actually going to play for the rest of my life, but coaching snuck in there and gave me the same type of feeling that I had when I'm on the court. So I'm like, hey, this is a good trade for me. So I'm doing it.
No, for sure, coach. That's crazy because I don't think sometimes I'm like I thought that like I wasn't be in this position of coaching. Like I thought I was gonna just continue to be a player, but then it's like the thrill that you get as a coach is like it's a way different feeling.
Man, it's
It's
crazy. Isn't
unexplainable.
it? You
It's
don't know
unexplainable.
it until you actually are in it. But yeah, it's great. And I actually, like I said, I thought I was going to play forever, but when I started coaching, the bug just is it's unbelievable, unbelievable.
It sticks with you. And then when the times where you're like, dang, I don't know if I want to do this no more. Something just pop up and be like, oh, this is why I do it. This is my purpose.
Yeah,
But
exactly,
coach,
exactly.
listen, besides coaching, what is one fun fact about you? About you? What is something that you love to do
Oh,
outside of basketball?
um, it's crazy. I love to find a good hot dog spot. I love hot dogs. I don't know why. Always been a big fan. And so right now I'm experimenting with some things. I put cucumbers on, I put tomatoes on it. So I'm really into the hot dog thing. So I'm a foodie actually, but hot dogs are my thing. I go to all the time.
That is a first. I have never heard anybody say that they love hot
I
dogs.
love them. I love them. So that's my fun fact.
That is crazy. That's dope. Well, listen, coach, a lot of times, when I'm coaching kids and, just training them, I really hone in on how they respond to what I say, right?
Mhm.
How they're able to, read what I'm telling them to do and apply it to being, just an athlete or trying to improve their game to the next level, right? So,
Mhm.
coach, when you hear the word coachable, what does that mean to you?
Well, for me, and I think is universal. I think that it definitely incorporates a lot of things, but the biggest thing is just listening. A lot of coaches say that, but it's also having the player or the player being able to adjust and also grow from what you're telling them. Sometimes the athletes who are coachable understand that it's not criticism that you're telling them. It's just something that you're telling them. It's almost like an investment. Think of it as an investment. So it's an investment of you getting better. So that to me kind of sums up what coachable is, like listening, but also applying what you're actually hearing. So
No facts, because I don't. Sometimes we will, coach. We'll tell kids like, "Hey, make sure you're reading the defense. Hey, make sure you're making a judgment call.
yep.
And sometimes being able to like, just sit and watch them play, and then calling over your point guard and saying, "Hey, this is what I see. I want you to go and make the judgment based on what the defense gives you." And to be able to coach somebody up, and them understand, to have a connection with the player,
Hmm.
right? For them to really understand how to apply it,
Yeah.
especially in game situationals. So coach, like one of the things that I struggle with, when I'm watching athletes is like we have these talented athletes that really struggle with just being coached
Yeah.
and coached hard. For
Yeah.
that matter, so and it's like when they hit that hard wall of adversity, when a coach is criticizing them, I don't think they can really tell the difference between the two, right? So
Mhm.
why do you think some talented athletes struggle with being coached?
Yeah. Well, before I touch on that, I wanted to go back to what you were saying, and it definitely is a two-way street, right? So when you have these players that are, you're asking them to be coachable, you as a coach as well, you know, when you're connecting with the player, being coachable with the player as well, it definitely goes a long way. So that's super important when, you know, when you're on teams or when you're coaching teams or you're a player on a team. So that's super important. But um, to start on the talented athlete, the talent is getting crazy, right? So everyone is growing. The game is growing. You know, we appreciate all the avenues that basketball has brought. So the talent really makes it hard for people to be coachable, I should say. I think it gives you kind of like a false sense of success or a false sense of success. When you're so used to doing everything right and you're seeing the positive of it, you don't think that there's anything else that you could get in to make you better. So that's the false sense of success there, right? But I think talented people or talented players really are the ones that should be the most coachable because you want to take your game up from one level to the next level. But the same, it goes back to what coachable is. It's about listening. It's about adjusting when you hear something, even if it's something that you don't want to hear or something that you may not agree with. You know, when that situation comes back up again, you want to be able to apply it and you want to be able to adjust your game. So that takes you to the growth part of your game and what you're looking for when you're developing.
That's facts, coach. Because I've watched games where you have talented athletes on the team, but you know, and you're playing in a championship game. And I used to always tell like some of my teammates in college because we had some a player on our men's team and he was super good, right? But I used to always say like he can win a game and lose a game because if
Mm-hmm.
he's having a
Yep.
great game, then everybody's happy. You
Yep.
know, but if he's having a bad game, then now everybody around him, you know, don't know how to fit into that system well, and now he's uncomfortable
Yep.
because you know he's so used to the positivity, he doesn't really know how to respond, you know, when it's negative because all he knows is to do everything like by himself because
Yep.
he is what you know he is the person that does everything. So you know it's very important, you know, when coaches have that connection, you know, with your athletes of understanding, you know, how to get your athletes to, you know, want to do the things they need to do because you said something very key. We as coaches have to be coachable. You know,
Right. Right.
because sometimes the players come to us, and as a coach, I've had to even learn to be humble enough to listen to my athletes because I'll be calling a play, and they'll be like, "Coach, it's not working,"
Not
and
there. Yep.
it's not working, coach. And I keep doing it. I'm trying, and in my head, I'm like, "You're not trying hard enough," or "You're not doing it the way I'm telling you to do it." Until sometimes I watch film and say, "Wow, you know, it wasn't working," you know, and I have to go back and apologize and take accountability and say, "Hey, you know, these are the things that we need to work on together. These are the things that
Yeah.
I missed." So one of the things that you know I talk about is the cost of being coachable. Coach,
Mm.
what does it cost for an athlete to truly be coachable? Is that ego? Is it comfort, pride? Is it a bad habits? Like, what does it cost?
I think you hit on a lot of points, like right there. You know, even with you saying about um, getting out of your comfort zone is one of the biggest things because when you just going back, like your questions are very stacking. They're stacked on each other. So that's good. So when you're out of your comfort zone, you tend to be more open to listening, right? When you're in your comfort zone and you're afraid to get out, that's where ego starts playing a part in it and pride starts playing a part in it because you don't want to be wrong. And especially with this generation, the peers now or the players, they don't want to be wrong in front of their peers. And so it's very hard to be open and understand that, hey, what can I get out of this situation? I need to listen to this situation and get something out of it. So you have to put down your pride. You have to put down your ego. So it's going to cost that. And obviously, like I said, it's going to cost the comfort. Getting out of something that you're familiar doing. One example I can give you, you know, there's players now that they're shooting very well, and maybe they've shot what I don't even know what you get now in Hall of Fame. What 1,200? I don't even know what it is in high school
It's
anymore.
a,
So
like it's 1,000. We do like
okay,
500 into 1,000. Most schools do 1,000 though.
okay, so 1,000. I mean, I was past that, so I'm just saying. But
Oh.
so okay, so 17, whatever. So you get a player who's shooting can shoot Well, a long time ago, I heard, from one of my previous coaches, they told me the story about Tim Tebow and why he was so successful from college to professional was because he was coachable. He was able to listen to, he was one of the best, what are those people? Quarterbacks. He was one of the best quarterbacks, right? And
Mhm.
so he was able to be coachable and learn from the people that came before him how to get his snap quicker. And that one thing that he was open about, he came out of his comfort zone to learn something different, made him better in the next level, in the NFL level. And it's the same thing with basketball. When you hear your players or you hear your coaches telling you something different about a move or your shooting ability, you want to take that in and, like I said, adjust and apply it in some form. Apply it.
Absolutely, absolutely. But and it's crazy because I think sometimes like kids don't really understand that. It's like you're not really trying to down your skill level,
Yeah.
but I think they forget that there was a time where we were them.
Yeah.
Where and we understand, we experience so many different things, that has put us in an aspect of like, oh my gosh, like, this works or this helps, and then especially when you're moving up a level, everything is different. Like I think about the height in basketball nowadays. Like even in women's basketball, like I'm watching these girls like they're like giants, you know.
Yes.
And I'm telling kids like for example, you were talking about Tim Tebow. Like let's give example of a shooter, right? If you're a shooter and you got somebody that's a wing player that's still 6 foot and you're 5'8", 5'9" as a shooter, you still gotta learn how to maneuver around that long defender. So
Exactly.
being coachable to learn how to either create the space, not to change your form, body control in the air if they're trying to block your shot and it hit your arm, your landing. A lot of times, kids don't really understand like the small aspects and details in that change, or in that training that they have to do. Going to training and shooting 1,000 shots, but the wrong way is not going to help you in the
Not going to
game.
affect you. It's not going to give you the benefit. Just look at, like you said, Angel Reese. If you look at her game when she first came into the league, there's fans on here. There's people that are fans of Angel Reese and there's fans that are not, right? But
Hmm.
her game has evolved. Asia Wilson, her game has evolved. She knew that once she became comfortable, once she started scoring all these points in the paint or turnaround jumper, whatever, that people were going to start playing her that way. So
Hmm.
she had to come out of her comfort zone and learn the 3-point shot or come out of her comfort zone and learn how to, drive, get the rebound off the rim and take the transition. So there's a lot of comfort in the comfortable coachability, being coachable. I think that's my biggest word in it, being comfortable with not being okay.
No, absolutely. And one of the things that makes me think about something, being a student of the game on all
Oh,
aspects,
for
on
sure.
all levels. No matter how old we are, no matter what you think you may already know, we always have to be a student because the game changes.
Yeah.
And even with the referees, the calls change. Like I remember when I was in high school, you used to tell us like do a hot stove. You used to be able to touch your defender,
Oh, no, you
for
can't do that no more.
you can't
It's
do it no more.
crazy.
You
Yeah,
can't do it no more, and it's like dang, like the game changes, and that's one of the things that I've been teaching my kids is not just how to play the game, but how the game is called. You know what
correct.
I mean? Because if you're a post player in the paint, and you have a strong defender on you, and they match up your size, you gotta make sure that the ref can see certain angles to be able to get certain calls if you're going up for a layup or if you're trying to disposition them so you can get a good opportunity to score. And I
Correct.
think that's one of the things that kids don't think about is being a student. Now, Coach, you talk a lot about listening. I hear you put that word in the air a lot.
Listen.
So what is the difference between hearing a coach and actually applying the coaching?
Ooh, that's a good one. Hearing, that's natural. You're going to hear, you're going to respond to it verbally, I should say. There's a lot of kids, respectful. Yes, ma'am, no, sir, yes, coach, no, no, coach. You've actually heard what I've said, right? But
Mm-hmm.
are you applying it? So that's the difference between whether you're hearing it and whether you're applying it. So again, I go back to, if I'm telling you something, hey, she's digging on the left side, she's digging on the left side, or watch your feet, put her to a different angle to keep her out the paint, whatever. If you heard me, then you're just going to say, yes, coach. You're going to go out there and you may get burnt again. But if you're actually applying it, then you're going to take the chance. You're going to take the willingness to actually what I say. And then it may go right, it may go wrong, but at least you're willing to do it. So I think that's the biggest difference. Like hearing it and applying it, verbal versus actually applying it and doing it, responding, I should say.
Absolutely, and that's the difference between moving up a level is applying it. And I think I'll take a point guard for example. Like I'm not gonna lie, I love Chelsea Gray. Her court vision is immaculate. I love her. Because one of the things that I find that she does is she finds the weakness in her opponents.
Yeah.
And she feeds into that, and she understands. It's like she sees 2 or 3 plays before the play even happened.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what guards do. That's what it looks like, and I think that's when you are talking about being coachable as well too, because you have to be coachable by your point guards too.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be coachable by who's on the floor with you, because if you can't take that criticism from the people that you go to war with every quarter or every
Come
minute
on,
you're
man.
on the floor, like what more can you do? You can't be on the team. You can't want to be more. And I
Yeah.
think that is what I've learned. As being just a coach, like I think more athletes have to be willing to be coached by their teammates.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. You made such a great point. I love this topic, by the way. So, I myself personally in my journey, like I said, you're always being coachable. It never stops. Like whatever level you get to, there's always another level, a next level. So it never stops. And so under my current situation, my current status, getting out of my comfort zone, right? So we're reading this book, The Four Agreements. I don't know if you read it or not, but I really have taken it by the throat. Like I've really taken this study and really applied it to my life. And I think that a lot of the teachings that it teaches in the book has actually helped me grow as a coach. And I've been, multiple places. I've been a player in multiple places, and I've been around different people. And I think that book, not just that book, but it just helped me realize some things and put some light to some things, put some words to some things, and it helped me. So that within itself, and it was presented to me by another coach. And I could have been like, no, I already know everything, whatever. I've been here, I've been there. I've been to the same places you've been, but I didn't. So that again was being coachable and actually being aware that, hey, I'm not okay with being where I am. I want to go to the next level. And then when I get to that level and you've mastered that level, to go to the next level. So.
Right, and you say a good point. Just being able to master things.
Mm-hmm.
Once you master it, then let's start rising to the next and keep pushing ourselves. But I think the biggest thing too is, coach, is that the athletes have to start asking themselves, have I mastered this before I can try to learn something else? Don't try to do a
Mm-hmm.
Euro step spin move behind the back if you haven't hit the Euro step
You
effectively
ain't hit
first.
the Euro step yet. You ain't
Hit the
made the
Euro.
shot yet. Exactly.
Hit the Euro first, then we go Euro behind the back, maybe like. And I think that's what we have to realize, like the basics of basketball. Master that first, the foundation of what it looks like. Because what I've learned and just watching like every level, the foundation of basketball has never changed,
Never.
and
Bases
it's
are
never
gonna be
changed.
bases are
It,
gonna be
and it still works. The crossover, quick crossover to the basket, it's gonna work.
still
I
worse.
promise you. Just bring the defender out and attack that foot. Like use what is already given to you, right? It has now become such a show, right? And,
Mm-hmm.
and we are, now trying to coach kids down, right, to be able to read the game and have more basketball IQ than just skill, right?
Right.
Because like I
Right.
tell kids all the time, skill runs out. You could
Yeah.
be as skilled as you want to be, but it's going to plateau at some point if this never improves.
That never improves. If you don't take it in, honestly, if you don't take it in, if you don't understand your why, like why is this skill important and why will this skill advance me to the next level or why this skill will get me past this defender. So once you understand it, your IQ grows and therefore your growth is happening.
Absolutely. Now we go to just the correction, right? So you give a player a coachable statement. How does a player respond to correction without becoming frustrated, defensive, or shutting down?
Okay, good one. So again, like this book. Well, I keep responding to this because I'm telling you, I'm reading this like the Bible.
I gotta buy
But
this book.
listen, four agreements. It is there. It is the one. But once you're not defensive, and so one of the agreements is about not taking it personal, and it goes into details about how you're not taking it personal. But when you're being coachable, a lot of people may think that you're criticizing them or you're telling them something that they're not doing correct, right? So you have to take that out of the equation. When you're hearing someone that is saying something to you about a situation or something that you've done, start asking, okay, again, what can I get out of this, what they're telling me? Even if you don't agree with it. If I don't agree with the better shot is the midi shot. The midi, the people don't believe in the midi anymore. I'm a diehard fan of the midi shot. But
But it works.
the better
But it
shot,
works.
it works. It'll kill you in a minute. Step back. But so if you're hearing this and you don't agree with it and you want to take it all the way in, what can you get out of this? One, the bottom line of it is my coach now sees me listening to her. She's going to trust me more with something. So the bottom line, that's the bottom line of it. But what if it works? Now you've added yet another level to your game. So now this defender has to play you for the three, the lay, and the midi because you were able to be coachable and you were able to listen to, something as simple as your coach telling you, hey, drive in, stop on dime, take the midi. So, but I feel like emotion is a big thing. You have to ask yourself, what can I get out of it? Ask questions. If you don't understand what they're saying, asking questions, to get clarification on what they're meaning or how you're doing what you're doing can be better by what they're asking you to do. But again, emotion. I think emotion is probably the biggest thing for me.
Absolutely. But because I'll be honest with you, when kids get to a certain level, like the emotion plays a big part in that.
Big
You gotta
part,
be able to
huge
think
part
on the fly.
on the
Let it
on the
go.
dime.
Let it
Yeah.
go. That play happened first quarter. Like we don't need to talk about, those different things. And I think that when kids start to really understand, that it's a bigger picture. It's not
Yeah.
about you. I think that's the problem, a lot of times is when kids are trying to be coachable, like they put you in the middle of just a team. And it's not.
Team.
It's
Yep.
not because it's not just four or three players, not one person on there. It's five people that have a role of what they need to do. And somebody's going to be the best defender on the floor, might not
Mm-hmm.
have the best offense. Then you have somebody that's probably going to be one of your best shooters,
Mm-hmm.
and then you don't have somebody that may not have as much skill but has all the IQ in the world,
Yep.
and,
Got those.
it helps.
Yep.
It helps. So I think that sometimes a lot of kids don't really hurt. So I want to ask a follow up question: does body language hurt kids when becoming coachable?
Ooh, it's a catch-22 on that one. History tells us that when we look at body language, we ultimately assume, that a player is not listening or not being coachable or is sitting in their frustration. But I think, learning the lay of the land, there's a lot of players that they can give you this blank face and be able to tell you everything that I've said. So I don't know. I don't know that. That's a good question. I think it's a lot with discernment, understanding, and I think once you're seeing someone, it's about reaction. So once you're seeing someone, if I see someone with bad body, quote unquote, bad body language on the bench, if they're able to get out of that funk, or if they're able to adjust themselves, is it really bad body language, or was that them understanding that this is not where I want to be? This is not where I can be. I need to get out of that. So body language does play a part, but I think the response or the reaction to the body language is what people will look at, and what you will genuinely dictate if you're being coachable, or listening to someone.
Coach, that's a very interesting answer. I'm not gonna lie. You caught me off guard now. You caught me off guard. But
Yeah,
but that's very interesting because you do have to, as a coach, I would say, you do have to navigate whether a kid is having a moment or that's
yeah.
just who they are.
Right. That's what. Yep. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And I think too often we immediately assume that it's just bad body language, and you're not allowing them to have their moment, because that too is growth if they're able to come out of their moment. So, yeah.
Absolutely, and then just trusting them, like just sometimes I see myself and I watch parents like see their kid get upset and they're throwing a tantrum, and sometimes I'm like, don't say nothing to them. I
Yep.
don't let them
Yep.
figure it out,
Figure
because
it
they
out.
have to be able to be mad at the ref but still be able to play.
Right.
And I've taught the kids to talk to your captain. You usually you have a captain on the floor, and if the captain's not on the floor, come to me and say, hey coach, I didn't like that call. Why are they calling me? Like, tell that frustration to me, so now I can coach you, so that now the anger that you have does not go to the ref and then now
Exactly.
they
Tell it.
receive that. They receive that. So it's a process, and I think a lot of times when kids already think they know everything,
Yeah.
right? It becomes hard to now be coached, right? You don't,
Yeah.
when somebody pours into you, and I think when you close the door to thinking that you don't learn something from everybody, and when I say everybody, I mean like every coach you encounter, because your rec league coach taught you something that your middle school coach probably didn't, but that coach taught you something different because you already supposed to know something from rec league, you
Right.
know
Right.
and that's the thing where a lot of I see non-growth, or non-teaching that comes into the game, because you get a kid at high school and be like, wait, you don't know how to what, you don't know how to shoot the ball,
Oh,
wait,
you don't know how
what, what,
to.
we don't know what 2 foot finish is.
No.
you know
No.
and sometimes that can be frustrating, especially when you got kids that already know that stuff,
Right.
and just want
Right.
to jump into it. So it's now becoming, very, I guess you could say, challenging for the ones that already know. And a
Hmm.
lot of times, like, I won't even stop the drill, because I will tell my kids, like, I want you to coach them up. I want
Hmm.
you to show them how to move through things and be coachable, because now it shows me that you are able to connect with somebody that's not on the same level as you. So
Yeah.
you
Exactly.
don't feel like you're bigger than the program, because you were there one day, you were there at some point, and it shows so many kids that are just growing, and I just love to watch it, coach. I just love to watch
That's
it.
the coaching. That's the bug. That's the coaching. When you see it come full circle, I mean, you're like looking at them like, man, look at them grow, grow. So, yeah, that's the coaching.
All right, coach. So now we got something called rapid fire. Okay.
Okay.
So I'm gonna give you two choices. I'm giving you two choices. Okay, I'm
Okay.
going to real quick. You got 7 different choices. All right. All right,
Okay.
here we go. We got talent or work ethic,
Work ethic,
skill or basketball IQ,
basketball IQ,
confidence or coachability,
confidence. I like a dog.
practice habits or game performance,
Game performance.
film study or extra gym time,
Ooh, film study.
great teammate or a great scorer,
Great teammate all the way.
defense or offense,
Defense, baby, bring it.
communication or body language.
Communication.
All right, coach, that's our rapid fire.
Look at you. Ooh, those are real good. Man, got me thinking now. But yeah, I'm gonna stick with it. That's my final answer.
Well, listen, Coach, we definitely appreciate you being on our podcast, man. You know,
Thank
I
you.
can't tell you how much it is really helping the generation of just kind of just learning how to grow and learning how to get themselves to the next level. And this is why I built Provision Podcast, just because I want to be somebody that I wish I had at their age. You know, I didn't always have somebody to pour into me. A lot of the things that I did when I was younger, I taught myself. You know, so trying to get to the next level was, me, reading, going through different research things, knowing where I want to go, and just me and my mom learning together, and it put me in a spot where I wanted to build a platform where the kids could go back and say, you know what, I don't know what this is. Let me go to Coach Sadie's page and look at our Provision, podcast and say, okay, this is what this coach says. And that way, now the questions that them and mom have, they don't have no more. It's answered. So I definitely appreciate you taking time because I know you guys are busy. And it's always, just a pleasure to have you guys. You have anything to say, to the
No, I
platform?
mean, I thank you. I mean, because you said a mouthful. I think as we continue this journey in the world of basketball, things like this actually helps the players. And so you said a mouthful about it. Like I've watched your platforms. I've watched, some of the other coaches come on, and again, I've gotten things from them. So I appreciate you for allowing this platform to be birthed and allowing this platform to have me as an invitee and as a panelist. So whenever and however or whatever you doing, like count me in. I'm good.
Yes, ma'am. I appreciate it. Listen, I just pray that God blesses you on your journey, protect you. And I thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you guys are tuning in later because we might have a part two. You never know. So, but Coach, we thank you, and I don't want to take up too much more of your time, guys. If you have questions and DMs, you can DM me, and I will get to Coach whenever she is available. But right now, we are not going to do our Q&A for a moment. We have ended with our rapid fire, but we want to say thank you to Coach, guys. Make sure
Thank
you
you.
go follow her in her journey, and we love you guys. See you guys later.
All right. Bye, coach.
Bye.